Hi guys, it's Megan with Vigilante Vibes, and I have my final character breakdown for all the characters of Thunderbolts. If you're interested in anyone like Red Guardian, Taskmaster, Ghost, just look at my channel and you will see all of them. But today, the last but not least, we are focusing on Bucky Barnes. Thunderbolts is coming out today. I'm going to see it tomorrow night. So I guess when this is posted, I'll be seeing it today. I'm seeing it Friday. So what better time is there to talk about Bucky Barnes? I will give you the MCU version and his comic counterpart. I'll go through all the big notable events in his life that helped shape him into the character he is today. And I'll give you the recommendations on which comics to check out to get to know him a lot better. So buckle up, it will be a lot. James Buchanan, Bucky Barnes, was a soldier in World War II and best friends with Steve Rogers since they were kids. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, Bucky joined the Army and ended up in the 107th Infantry. In 1943, his unit got captured by Hydra, and during that time, Arnim Zola injected him with the super soldier serum. Steve, now Captain America, rescued him, and the two teamed up to form the Howling Commandos to fight the Red Skull. Unfortunately, during the mission in the Alps, Bucky fell from a train and was presumed dead, though no body was ever found. Until, not by the good guys, I guess. Turns out Bucky did survive the fall, thanks to the serum, but lost his left arm. The Soviets and Hydra found him, brainwashed him, gave him a metal arm, and turned him into an assassin called the Winter Soldier. For decades, he was used to take out threats to Hydra, including people like JFK and Howard Stark. Between missions, they'd put him in a cryo-freeze to keep him around longer. In 2014, he was sent to kill Nick Fury, but ended up running into Steve, which started to bring back his memories. After the Triskelion battle, Bucky broke away from Hydra and started trying to piece his life back together. A couple years later, he got framed for a bombing in Vienna that killed King T'Chaka, the father of King T'Challa, the Black Panther, which kicked off a whole mess. Black Panther was after him, and it triggered the Avengers Civil War. Eventually, it came out that Helmut Zemo was behind it all and had reactivated Bucky's brainwashing. Zemo also revealed that Bucky had killed Tony Stark's parents, leading to a brutal showdown with Iron Man. Bucky survived and ended up in Wakanda, where T'Challa gave him sanctuary while they worked to fully deprogram him. With the help from Shuri, Bucky was finally freed from Hydra's control and started going by White Wolf, which I'm kind of bummed that we didn't get to see more of that. He fought in the battle for Wakanda against Thanos, but was snapped out of existence when Thanos wiped out half the universe. 5 years later, Hulk brought him back, and he fought the epic final battle that we saw in Avengers Endgame. He also attended Tony's funeral and said goodbye to Steve, who went back in time and came back old, passing the shield on to Sam Wilson. Trying to make amends for his past, Bucky was thrown back into action when John Walker became the new Captain America, and the Flag Smashers showed up to challenge how the world was dealing with the blip. Bucky and Sam teamed up, sometimes reluctantly, with Zemo and Sharon Carter to stop them. Things got messy when Walker went too far. He unalived someone. It was a nationalist, and everyone saw it. But in the end, Bucky and Sam took him down and wrapped up the mission. Not long after that, Nebula randomly attacked Bucky and stole his arm and gave it to Rocket as a Christmas gift, if we all remember. By 2027, Bucky had taken a whole new turn. He got into politics and started a campaign to run for Congress. We saw a cameo of him in Captain America: Brave New World. If that spoiled that for you, I am so sorry. I didn't think that through. But there's no way it hasn't been spoiled for you yet. But what we've seen in the clips that came out of... I'm blinking so hard today. What we saw from the clips that came out of Thunderbolts already is that his political career did not last. It was less than half a term, according to Val. So I'm very curious to see where his head at. is in Thunderbolts and see what happened with his political career, because I'm not going to lie to you, I really, really, really wanted a Vote for Bucky t-shirt. So kind of mad they went straight past that whole merch opportunity there. So that is the MCU version. I'm sure everyone is very familiar with it. If not, I hope you've learned something from it. So let's get into his comic counterpart. This is the very, very rich background of Bucky. There's so much to work with. He's just been around for so long and he's done so much. So let me tell you all about him. Originally introduced as a sidekick to Captain America, the character was created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby and first appeared in Captain America Comics #1, cover dated March 1941, which was published by Marvel's predecessor, Timely Comics. That's how long he has been around. He is... God bless him. James Bucky Barnes started out as an American soldier during World War II after growing up as a ward of the state. He fought alongside his best friend Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, and was part of a team called the Invaders that helped the Allies win the war. You can see this in Captain America Comics #1, like I said. Everyone thought Bucky died near the end of it, but he actually was found by the Soviets, brainwashed by a guy named Vasily Karpov, and turned into the Winter Soldier, a deadly assassin used for the secret missions over the next 50 years. This can be seen in Captain America Volume 5, number 50. Eventually, Bucky's memories came back, and after Steve Rogers was presumed dead, Bucky stepped in and became the new Captain America for a while. He even joined the Avengers. You can see that in Captain America Volume 5, number 34. When Steve returned, Bucky gave up the shield, went back to being the Winter Soldier, which we see in Winter Soldier #1. That's a very quick breakdown of his character, but I'd like to take it back a lot further. Bucky Barnes was born in 1925 and lost both of his parents at a young age. His mom passed away when he was little, and his dad died during basic training. He and his sister Rebecca were separated, with her sent to a boarding school while Bucky convinced officials to let him stay at Camp Lehigh, where he eventually became the camp mascot. By 1940, during World War II, Bucky was running a little side hustle getting supplies for soldiers. He later went back to England and trained with British commandos, picking up hand-to-hand combat skills and taking on special ops missions. After his combat training, Bucky met Steve Rogers, now Captain America, and was assigned to work with him, though he didn't know at first what Cap was really up to. He didn't know he was Captain America. He didn't know his secret identity. That changed when Bucky accidentally saw Steve in costume and was sworn to secrecy. From there, he joined Cap on his first mission against the Red Skull and later trained under him to become his own masked sidekick, Bucky, meant to counteract the influence of the Hitler Youth. Though a bit skeptical of Steve's idealism at first, the two became inseparable. After the U.S. entered World War II, after the attack on Pearl Harbor, Captain America and Bucky dropped their military roles to fight full-time as costumed heroes. They teamed up with a submariner, the original Human Torch, and his sidekick Toro, forming a group Winston Churchill called the Invaders. Bucky was a key member, but briefly stepped away in 1942 to lead a group of teen soldiers called the Kid Commandos. He also pulled together a team of superpowered heroes called the Liberty Legion to fight threats at home and work with another teen group, the Young Allies. So he's just jumping from group to group. He is a busy, busy guy. In late 1945, near the end of the war, Cap and Bucky were in London chasing down Nazi scientist Baron Zemo, who was trying to steal an experimental drone plane. During a fight with Zemo's robot, both of them were knocked out and strapped to the plane, which Zemo planned to send to Hitler. He even changed their costumes to army uniforms just out of spite. They woke up just in time to escape, grabbed a motorcycle, and chased after the plane. As it started taking off, they jumped for it. Bucky made it, but Cap missed and warned him to let go in case it was rigged. Bucky couldn't. His sleeve got caught. The plane exploded, and Bucky was presumed dead. Cap fell into the ocean and ended up frozen, but Bucky's body was never found. which only adds to the mystery around his fate. Turns out Bucky survived the explosion, but, just barely. He lost his left arm in the blast and ended up in icy waters, going through a similar freezing process as Cap. After the war, a Russian sub searching for Captain America stumbled upon Bucky's body instead. They found he didn't have the super soldier serum, but still put him in cryo. The Soviets turned him into the White Soldier, sending him around the world for high-level assassinations. In 1946, he was even ordered to kill Itsu, the pregnant wife of Logan, aka Wolverine. In 1954, they revived him and gave him a cybernetic arm, upgrading it over the years as tech improved. He didn't remember who he was, but he was deadly skilled and completely brainwashed, molded into the perfect weapon. During this time, Bucky also trained Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, in the Red Room. The two fell in love, even though she was promised to someone else. But after Bucky started showing signs of instability during a mission, the Soviets began freezing him between assignments to keep him under control. In 1963, Bucky, now fully brainwashed as the Winter Soldier, was used as the second gunman in the assassination of JFK. A few years later, in 1966, he was sent to track down two Nazi scientists who created something called the alchemy formula. During a mission against a Hydra agent named Drain, Bucky briefly started to remember who he was. He tried to help one of the scientists, Mila Hidsig, escape with the help of S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Ran Shen. But things went sideways and Nick Fury accidentally killed her. After that, the Russians re-brainwashed him to prevent more slip-ups. In 1973, Bucky went off the radar after a mission. He was eventually found in a rundown New York hotel, oddly enough, in the same building where Namor was staying. Both of them had amnesia and did not recognize each other. By 1983, Bucky was assigned as a bodyguard to an aging General Karpov, who had been involved with his original conditioning. He stayed with him until the general died in 1988, but Bucky started showing signs of mental instability again, and he was put back in the cryo storage, now under the control of Karpov's successor, General Lukin. After the Soviet Union collapsed, Lukin went rogue and started Cronus Oil. Fast forward to 2000s, Bucky was sent to a country called Sinkong to investigate a strange energy source known as the Dragon Breath. While there, they ended up saving Reed Richards and Ben Grimm. General Lukin brought Bucky, still the Winter Soldier, back into action to assassinate the Red Skull and steal his new cosmic cube. What no one realized, though, was that the Red Skull had already transformed his mind into Lukin's body. After taking out Nomad and framing him for the Skull's death, Bucky set off a deadly explosion in Philadelphia, which ended up powering the cube. Lukin, disturbed by what the cube was doing, had Bucky stash it in a secure vault in West Virginia. While investigating, Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. started putting the pieces together, and Cap eventually confronted Bucky at the vault. They fought until Cap grabbed the cube and used it to restore Bucky's memories. Overwhelmed by guilt, Bucky destroyed the cube and disappeared, going underground to track down Lukin, unaware that Lukin and the Red Skull were now sharing the same body. Later, after a run-in with Wolverine in Serbia, Bucky found Lukin in England, right as the Red Skull activated a giant sleeper robot. Bucky set aside his mission for revenge and teamed up with Cap to stop it. It was the first time they fought side by side in over 50 years, but Bucky vanished again afterward, still not ready to face Steve. Which is so sad because it's not like he was in control, but I can understand he feels overwhelmed and that everything came back at once. I get it. It was then revealed Bucky had been working undercover for Nick Fury, who had gone off the grid after leaving S.H.I.E.L.D., which Nick Fury tends to do. During one mission, Bucky met some of the young Avengers and realized just how much he and Cap had inspired a new generation. He also reconnected with Namor, helping Wolverine subdue his son Dakin, and even gave some heartfelt advice to a jaded patriot. After Captain America was assassinated, Bucky was out for revenge. He blamed the Red Skull and Tony Stark, who was running S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time. Bucky ended up getting Cap's shield and taking it from Black Widow, his ex and former trainee, when she tried to move it. Bucky eventually tracked down Lucan, only to realize it was actually the Red Skull in control. Bucky got captured, nearly brainwashed by Dr. Faustus, but held out long enough to be rescued by Falcon and Sharon Carter, who was pretending to be under Faustus's control. Back in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody, Bucky escaped and confronted Tony Stark. He managed to disable Iron Man's suit and hold his own in the fight. That's when he found out Steve had left Stark 2 final wishes: to help Bucky find peace and to make sure someone worthy took up the Captain America mantle. Stark believed Bucky should be the one to do it. Bucky agreed, on the condition that any leftover brainwashing was wiped from his mind, and that he wouldn't be answering to anyone, not even Stark or S.H.I.E.L.D. After moving into Captain America's old safe house, Bucky got a new Captain America suit made by Tony Stark and started fighting back against the Red Skull's efforts to stir up chaos. With Cap's shield and other weapons, he was effective in battle, but he still hadn't earned the respect of the U.S. government or the public. A lot of civilians, even some heroes like Clint Barton, didn't like his new look. Despite the criticism, Bucky kept at it, fighting terrorism as Captain America with Falcon, who initially wasn't on board with him. Together, they took on an AIM cell led by Arnim Zola. The Red Skull wasn't backing down, though. He sent the Grand Director, who had been brainwashed to think he was Steve Rogers, to take down Bucky. Bucky barely made it out alive and had to retreat with Falcon. They kept an eye on the Grand Director as he became more unhinged and tried to stay under the radar of AIM and the Red Skull. Eventually, Bucky earned the government and public's approval when he stopped an assassination plot by Sin, the Red Skull's daughter, who was targeting both Republican and Democratic candidates. Around this time, he reconnected with Black Widow, one of the few people who had always had his back. His next big challenge came when the Skrulls invaded, and Bucky fought alongside other heroes in New York. Wanting to honor Steve's legacy, Bucky invited Clint Barton and the New Avengers to use his safe house as their base and pledged his support to their cause. In the big battle involving the Avengers, New Avengers, and the Invaders, Bucky used the Cosmic Cube to bring his old friend Toro back to life. Even though Bucky had turned his life around, there were still some officials from the U.S. and other countries that couldn't forget his Winter Soldier past. He had to face one of his old crimes when he tried to kill Chinese scientist Zhang Qin in 1968. This was after the invaders had already saved him from Imperial Japan in 1942. Zhang wanted to use the original Human Torch's biological material to create a virus, but Bucky and Namor stopped him and his project. The Human Torch was given a proper burial. Later, Bucky learned from Sharon that Captain America wasn't actually dead. He was stuck in a time loop, reliving his past. Sharon had sabotaged the machine meant to bring back Steve. Bucky and Black Widow tried to steal the device from Hammer, but they were caught. Norman Osborn sent Widow back with an ultimatum. Either Sharon would turn herself in for allegedly shooting Steve, or he'd kill Bucky. Bucky was handed over to the Thunderbolts, who said he could join them once Steve was back. But Ant-Man secretly freed him, and Falcon eventually rescued him. After some time thinking things over, Bucky decided to step down as Captain America, so Steve could return. Before that, though, Bucky and Black Widow threw the shield one last time. That night, Steve was also suited up and ready to fight, but when he saw Natasha and Bucky leaving, he realized that Bucky was more than ready to take on the Captain America role. The two had a quick battle with Mr. Hyde and his henchmen, and once the fight was over, Steve officially handed the shield to Bucky, giving him his full blessing. When Osborn attacked Asgard, the heroes teamed up to stop his grab for absolute power. For the first time, both Bucky and Steve Rogers fought together as Captain Americas. helping defeat Osborn's forces. After the battle, the Superhuman Registration Act was scrapped, and Steve made Bucky a member of the New Avengers. Their first mission sent them to the future, where they fought Ultron. Later, Bucky went up against the Grand Director, who had taken over the Watchdogs after he became disgusted with how America was changing. Bucky infiltrated their group, but once he was recognized, they kidnapped him to use him in a video that would show the explosion of the Hoover Dam. Falcon dropped a train loaded with explosives before helping Bucky take down the Grand Director, though the director's body was never found after he fell into the river. Baron Helmut Zemo tried to discredit Bucky by accusing him of being unworthy of Captain America's shield, using his past as a Winter Soldier to turn the public against him. Bucky did his best to protect his friends from the new Red Skull, but he was still condemned, even though his sentence was already served. A Russian ambassador demanded Bucky's extradition to Russia, where he was accused of killing 2 Russian citizens. In a Russian gulag, Bucky had to fight against villains who wanted him dead, but he got some help from a few of them, like Nico Constantine, who had been part of the Wolf Spider project. When Colonel Rostov recovered the Zephyr codes, Bucky realized that it was a trap and escaped during his third public fight. He was rescued by Black Widow, who knew the Russians' plans. The 2 citizens Bucky had supposedly killed in 1982 were actually KGB agents of Rostov. When Scotty attacked Washington, D.C., Bucky was there to stop her, and her power was too much, and he got beaten nearly to death. Before passing out, he told Black Widow to warn people about the Serpent. He was rushed to Nick Fury, who gave him the Infinity Formula, saving his life and healing him. Bucky decided to go underground again and took up his Winter Soldier persona. His life model decoy was buried at the Arlington National Cemetery. Now he is back to being Winter Soldier. Again. Believed dead and looking for redemption, James went off the grid with Black Widow, protecting the Cold War sleeper agents. He took down 2 of the 3 super soldiers Madame Von Bardas used to try and kill Doctor Doom. The third, Leo Novikov, had woken up from hibernation years earlier. Leo saw Bucky as a traitor, so he sent him a message by killing another Bucky and kidnapping Black Widow to get to him. Bucky, wanting to save her, took the mission Leo set up and fought Daredevil. He eventually defeated Leo, but Leo got his revenge. Natasha got back all her memories except the ones about Bucky. Later, Bucky faced Tesla Tarasova, the daughter of a man he killed in 1983. Tesla had taken down Father Hammer, the leader of an island where the orphans were raised as weapons, and was trying to change her past using the cosmic rays her father invented. After a battle at a space base, S.H.I.E.L.D. attacked and Bucky and Tesla escaped. Eventually, Bucky reappeared as part of the reformed All-New Invaders, fighting against the Kree Tenolth and rescuing Toro, now an Inhuman, from Kurt Dagmar. This gave Bucky the chance to investigate Martian attacks and their connection to Killraven. In the meantime, Bucky was keeping tabs on Natasha and acting as her personal guardian angel on multiple occasions. Bucky was one of the heroes Nick Fury secretly gathered to supposedly investigate Uatu, the Watcher's death, but it turned out they were actually being set up to track Nick Fury's secret activities as the Man on the Wall, the first line of defense against the space invaders, with the goal of replacing him. When Bucky figured out he'd been played, he attacked the LMD, life model decoy, of Nick Fury at Avengers Tower and used it to find the real Fury's location. The other heroes also made their way to the same spot, a hidden satellite. There, the older Fury confronted them and explained his plans. When Fury got an alert that the LMD's body had self-destructed, someone had tried to investigate it, he took one of the Watcher's eyes from Bucky and locked himself in a secure room, trying to activate the second eyes he'd been hiding. When the Avengers arrived, with Iron Man tracking the LMD signal, Fury confronted them, now suited up and holding both Watcher's eyes, saying his eyes had been opened. Fury fought off the heroes and made it back to the Watcher's citadel, where Dr. Midas was trying to take even more power. Fury fought Midas's mindless ones, but one of the Watcher's eyes had taken by the orb, and Fury almost lost the battle. However, Bucky and the other heroes Fury had chosen arrived just in time, as they tend to do, and they got Fury to admit that he was the one who killed Uatu. After Fury supposedly died in an explosion that took out Midas, Bucky took over as the new Man on the Wall. Bucky brought Daisy Johnson along for a space mission as the Man on the Wall. After killing the King of Syro and stealing a sacred beast, Resner, he started digging into an empathogen drug called Ilum, which led him to Loki. Bucky tracked Loki down to Asgardia, even though an older version of Bucky had already shot him with an Ilum bullet. Loki eventually revealed that Ilum came from the planet Merzibo, ruled by Princess Ventolin, a new threat in space according to Fury. Meanwhile, the older Bucky secretly told Daisy about his efforts to fix James' future, like he'd tried with his past selves in other realities. James and Daisy made their way to Merzibo, where they were greeted peacefully by the Pauri. James fell for Princess Ventolin, but things quickly went south when a guy wearing Crossbones' mask showed up at the palace, stabbed Daisy, and tried to blow the place up. Turns out this villain was Nick Fury Jr. from the older Bucky's reality, and he was out to teach the Winter Soldier about hate because his own dad's absence had left a mark on him. So daddy issues. Loki stepped in to stop the destruction of Merzibo and wanting to control the Ilum trade and helped take down Crossbones. But Loki tricked Daisy into sending her his gun moon planetoid Ventur, where Crossbones would face the two Winter Soldiers. Daisy had already wounded Crossbones, who was trying to escape through a white hole. The older Bucky chased him, crashed his shuttle, and ended up back in his original universe, where Crossbones died and Bucky was reunited with Ventolin on the reborn planet Syro. On Earth 616, Loki was imprisoned by Ventolin, and she and Bucky finally got to be together, knowing how deep their feelings ran. The Winter Soldier got involved in the search for a secret shield operation dealing with cosmic cube fragments known as the Kobik Initiative. After taking down a few shield outposts in his quest for answers, Bucky ended up being tracked by Steve. He eventually met up with Steve, filled him in on the operation, and escaped before the agents could catch him. Bucky later infiltrated Pleasant Hill, a prison for the supervillains where the cosmic cube Kobik was being held. Right before Bucky arrived, Baron Zemo had orchestrated a big breakout. Bucky found Sam Wilson, who had taken up the shield of Captain America after Steve lost his super soldier serum and was looking for Steve. By the time they all reunited, Kobik had restored Steve to his prime. The three of them teamed up with the Avengers and the Avengers Unity Division to put an end to Zemo's plans. During the final battle, Kobik realized how Zemo had been manipulating her. Bucky prepared to shoot her, thinking she was too dangerous, but she threw him out of the window and away from the fight. After everything calmed down, Kobik found Bucky again, apologizing and begging to prove she could do good. Bucky agreed to take her in, and she told him that she wanted to bring some friends along too. This led to Bucky forming a new version of the Thunderbolts, tasked with guarding Kobik and being Earth's last defense against alien threats, all while continuing his role as the Man on the Wall. Even with the Thunderbolts, Bucky would still go on solo missions sometimes, and even though he tried to move on from Natasha, she was always on his mind, and he still found himself protecting her from the shadows. One time, Bucky got captured by Recluse, who wanted to bring revenge on Natasha for killing their mentor and leaving her behind. When Natasha showed up, she freed Bucky, and the two teamed up to take down Recluse. Before they left, Bucky let her know that Fury wanted to talk to her. Natasha agreed to meet with Fury on the moon, and they were joined by Lion. Unbeknownst to them, Lion had a secret plan to leave them stranded there. Once they arrived, Lion tried to steal all of Fury's knowledge, but got overloaded and died. So, womp womp. Meanwhile, the stowaway was getting ready to leave, and their oxygen was running low. Natasha gave Bucky all of hers so he could stop the ship from taking off as a way to repay him for always looking out for her. Once Bucky took control of the situation, he rushed back to Natasha, tried to bring her back. Just when he was about to get up, she groaned and the two kissed. Afterwards, Bucky asked if she remembered anything, and Natasha just played it cool and avoided answering. After a few adventures with the Thunderbolts, Bucky was ambushed by the reformed Masters of Evil, led by Baron Zemo. He was beaten up and brought before Kobik, who was supposed to do Zemo's bidding, but instead she transported herself and Bucky away after he agreed to let her fix everything. But Kobik's idea of fixing things was turning Bucky into a Hydra follower. She made him relive World War II with a few twists to help with his conversion, but Bucky held on to those principles, forcing Kobik to step in and admit that wasn't supposed to happen. That's when Bucky found out about Kobik's secret obsession with Hydra and how she had turned Steve Rogers into a Hydra agent. Bucky argued with her about what she'd done, which caused Kobik to throw a tantrum. Her outburst went out of control, threatening not just the Masters of Evil and the Thunderbolts, but all of existence. Fixer was able to stop her by hitting her with the laser beams, but in the process, he accidentally shattered Kobik into cosmic cube fragments, scattering them all over the world. Bucky tried to fight off Zemo, but he was betrayed by his fellow Thunderbolt, Moonstone. After Bucky was captured, Zemo and his Masters of Evil took off. Zemo decided to get rid of Bucky by strapping him to a replica of a plane that killed his father and launching it to explode. Before launching the drone, Zemo showed Bucky a holographic message from Steve Rogers. In the message, Steve apologized for what was about to happen to him, but he said he had no choice because Bucky might interfere with his plan to take over the U.S. The message devastated Bucky, and he declared that it wasn't Steve. Zemo launched the drone, which exploded over the ocean, seemingly killing Bucky. But Bucky actually survived the explosion and was rescued by Namor, who took him in as his advisor. Later, Namor introduced Bucky to the American superheroes who had come together to fight Hydra and restore the country. When Sam Wilson was given the last fragment of the Cosmic Cube to an alternate version of Steve Rogers, Ant-Man shrank Bucky down to a subatomic level inside the cube to reach Kobik's mind and bring her and the real Steve Rogers back. In the end, the Hydra version of Steve was defeated by the real one. So, that is the short and the long bit of who Bucky is as a character. I hope you learned something, and I hope you didn't mind me rambling for so long. I just really like doing these. So, as always, I have comics that you can check out to get to know Bucky even better. So, if I miss any, please let me know, because I'm not a comic expert. I just know the things I've read and what I've enjoyed. So if you have any better options, please let me know in the comments. So starting off with where he first appeared, Captain America Comics #1. The next one, the Winter Soldier run from 2012, which I have to say I think does the best job at getting into who Bucky is as the Winter Soldier. So highly recommend that run. The next one, Winter Soldier from 2018. And then Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier. Falcon and Winter Soldier. Tales of Suspense. Captain America from 2004. Winter Soldier, The Bitter March. And Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty. So, you have your comics, you have your story, and nothing else to do, really, but to wait for Thunderbolts. So, keep an eye out for my review of Thunderbolts, because I will be giving it as soon as I get home from the theater. So, you get a pretty immediate reaction to what I thought of it. And I hope you enjoyed this character breakdown. So, with that being said, have a marvelous day.